Hey everyone, and welcome back to another 4.6 IS video. Today, we're going to look at some potential problems that may arise when owning a BMW 4.6 IS, and also some common faults you might want to look for if you're considering purchasing one of these X5s. Now in this video, I'm just going to give you a brief summary of the main things that can go wrong. As with every single car, these BMWs are quite complex, and there's a huge laundry list of everything that can fail, but we're just going to focus on the common faults. So let's get started. And before I begin, I just want to give a big thanks to Carly for sending their universal connected car scanner. Now, chances are if you own a BMW and the gauge cluster is lit up like a Christmas tree, you're probably in need of an OBD diagnostic scanner, and that's where Carly comes in. Having an OBD car scanner is very important when owning a car, and Carly's universal scanner makes it very easy to look at vital information, whether it be used for a pre-purchase inspection or maintaining the car. Carly also offers coding for your car to personalize many features, and in this case it works especially well with BMW. In this case, we can perform a health check and see what is wrong with the car. One great thing about Carly is that it gives you a more in-depth view of what's wrong rather than just displaying error codes like most OBD Bluetooth apps. It categorizes error codes and can perform a search to see how others have dealt with it. Carly can also perform a used car check to see if the mileage has been tampered over the history of the car's life and indicate the driving behavior of the previous owners. You can also view live data, and the list is quite extensive, ranging from velocity, voltage sensor readings, emissions data, and many other parameters. However, the best part of Carly, in my opinion, is how easy it is to code features. Carly also makes a backup if you need to revert your changes. In this case, we're taking a look at the comfort access system and what changes we can make. The list of features to code in is quite extensive. You can choose to enable or disable comfort access, or you can choose to fold the side view mirrors when locking or unlocking the car. You can even choose the duration of these features. There's also other features that you can code in that have to do with the gauge cluster, the alarm system, and so on. Carly offers a free light version of the app to go with their Carly Universal Adapter. The light version offers access to certain features and is a good way to test what Carly can do with your car. To unlock additional features such as coding, you can upgrade to the yearly license, either for one specific brand or for all car brands. Thanks again to Carly for sending their universal car scanner to try out. I'll also leave an affiliate link in the description box if you want to check them out. Anyways, back to the buyer's guide. So let's start off with the front of the car. Up front, we've got the naturally aspirated 4.6 liter V8 derived from BMW's M62 architecture. And while it's a fairly decent engine, there are some common problems to look out for. The first thing I would recommend inspecting is the cooling system. This includes the expansion tank, the radiator fan, the thermostat and the water pump, and all the other hoses that connect the system. You want to make sure that there's no cracks or evidence of leaking coolant in these components. Now, with all BMWs of this era, BMW decided to use cheap plastics for some of these components, and as a result, they will fail after 100,000 kilometers or so from continuous heat cycles. These components aren't that expensive to replace compared to other major jobs, but definitely you want to make sure that they're in working order so you don't overheat the engine. The next common issue to look out for, and arguably the most important issue, is the timing chain guides. These guides are essentially plastic rails that guide the timing chain, and there's 3 of them. You have the U-shaped guide in the middle and also the guides on the sides. Unfortunately, BMW decided to use cheap plastic for these guides, and they're known to disintegrate and break apart and can lead to catastrophic engine failure. This can occur around 200 to 250,000 kilometers, and there are a few signs which may show this. This may include a noisy startup, strange noises from the head of the engine. You may also get a check engine light indicating that the timing is off. There's no easy way to physically inspect these guys without taking off the whole front of the engine and all the accessories. What you can do is you can try taking off the oil cap and shining a flashlight down there, and this may reveal the guides on the side and the top of the U-shaped guide. Or if you take off the oil pan underneath the car and see that there's bits of plastic in there, then you know that the timing chain guides have failed. In the end, if the car is approaching 200,000 kilometers and the guides have not been replaced, you'll need to set aside $2,000 to $3,000 if you plan on using a shop to replace them. Another common issue is the Vanos system in these N62 V8s. Thankfully, it's a single unit Vanos system, so they only have variable valve timing on the intake cams rather than both exhaust and intake like the succeeding N62 V8. Some signs include a rattle noise on cold start and a clunking noise when the engine is running, loss of low end torque with a decrease in performance, or the timing is simply off. A common issue is the seals inside the Vanos unit fail, and sometimes the actuator as a whole can fail. These V8 engines are also fairly torquey, and as a result, the motor mounts can fail or collapse. Give the engine a few revs and make sure that the engine isn't swaying from side to side or moving too much. And finally, these BMW V8s will more than likely leak oil. This can include leaky valve cover gaskets on the side, and it can also come from places like the timing cover or the oil pan underneath, which can get a little bit more expensive to take care of. In terms of the suspension, if the car isn't handling well or driving straight, then that's a good indication that the suspension may need a glance. Components like the control arms, bushings, boots, and links, you name it, can wear over time. If you have access to a lift, then make sure to check these components. The 4.6 IS also has air suspension in the rear. A common indication of a failed air suspension in the rear is if the car sags or it doesn't hold air due to an air leak. This could be from the bags leaking, or it could be something like a blown fuse or an air leak in the lines. Now for the exterior, one common problem is the door handles. BMW designed these handles to be pulled at an angle rather than horizontally like all other cars. And this causes the cable which operates the handle mechanism to stretch, leading to the door handle failing and not being able to open the car. So make sure to test that out and see if it works on all four corners of the car. Another issue is water accumulating inside the interior, such as the passenger footwell area or the sunroof controls right here. And a telltale sign of this is the sunroof drain lines being clogged and not getting rid of the water. Now inside the interior, there's a ton of features that the car offers. So your best bet is to try as many as you can and see if they still work. However, we're just going to focus on the common failures that seem to fail. The first one you should try is the blower motor right here. A common failure point of these BMWs is that the final stage resistor for the fan blower seems to die. So if your fan doesn't work or it dies intermittently, then that's a sign that the final stage resistor has failed. This is located in the passenger's footwell right underneath, and you'll need to remove quite a few components to reach it. Also make sure that the pixels on the instrument cluster and the radio nav controls aren't fading. Finally, try opening and closing all the windows in the cabin to make sure if any window regulators have failed, along with the sunroof. The last components that you want to inspect are the transmission and the transfer case. Now, the 4.6 IS includes this 5-speed ZF automatic transmission, which seems to hold up better compared to the newer 6-speed that is featured in the facelifted E53s. It's actually a fairly strong unit, but there are a few things to look out for. For starters, make sure it goes into gear properly, and look out if there are any harsh upshifts or downshifts in automatic mode. As you're driving around, also pay attention whether the car is going into the transmission fail-safe mode. This isn't as common in the 5 speeds as it is in the later 6 speeds, but it can happen. This could be due to a number of issues like electronic problems from a low battery, or mechatronic valve body issues, or severe mechanical transmission problems. Also, make sure the transmission fluid is regularly changed. There is a green label that indicates that the fluid is guaranteed for the lifetime of the car. However, this is not the case. So make sure to change the fluid periodically in order to prolong the life of your transmission. As for the transfer case, the 4.6 IS offers a fixed power split to all 4 wheels with a rear bias. So it's something like 40% of the power going to the front and 60% going to the rear. Now the 4.6 IS features a mechanical transfer case, which appears to be more reliable compared to the electrical one that the facelifted E53s have. But if it does fail, you usually will get a trifecta of lights, which include the 4x4 light, the ABS light, and the brake light. So if these 3 lights are on at the same time for a prolonged amount of time, then it may mean that the transfer case may need attention. However, the transfer case isn't a wear and tear item, and it is fairly durable, and it usually takes a physical intent for one to fail. You may also get this trifecta of lights for a short period of time after disconnecting and reconnecting the battery, so don't be alarmed in the situation if you see those 3 lights pop up and then disappear. Anyways, I hope you find this video informative whether or not you're looking at purchasing a 4.6 IS. Now bear in mind, there are countless issues that can go wrong with this car, just like any other car. But I thought I would highlight some common issues that can go wrong on pretty much every 4.6 IS. Now as far as owning one goes, you need to bear in mind that these were once very expensive cars with the latest and greatest features, so it is expected that ownership will be more expensive than an economy car. But the online BMW community is very good, and if you're ever having issues, there's a good chance others have experienced the same and have listed a well-documented solution on forums and YouTube. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.